Well, my self-esteem is just soaring. And Jackie leaned over to me and said, "This is very nice, but don't forget it's a school night." But Mitt made a lot about my propensity to volunteer. I need to disclose to you that it's my view now that volunteering, that the world is dependent on a steady supply of volunteers who haven't got any idea what they're getting themselves into. Shortly after the 2008 election, Jackie and I joined Mitt and Ann and some other friends for a very short stay on a tiny Caribbean country. We were escorted to the customs office. It consisted of a single desk in what looked like a warehouse building next to the airport. So while we're filling out the required papers, Mitt came to the blank requiring him to fill in his occupation. And he said, occupation, how should I answer that? And a member of our group made a suggestion. Mitt, just put president, searching for a country. About a year from now, I think our country is going to be searching for a president. And Mitt, if you're available, I want you to know that I and countless others will be once again at your side. So a few years ago, I represented the United States of America at an international meeting that was held in Russia. As part of the trip, I met with a member of the Russian Duma, which is essentially their Congress. Now, it turns out that this member of the Duma was also a famous polar explorer. And he regaled us for quite some time with the stories of his conquests, and he displayed all of his awards. Let's just say he had a very big personality. So as we stood up to leave, we exchanged business cards. And underneath his name was listed his title, Hero of the Russian People. Now, that is a great title. And tomorrow, I have concluded I am ordering a new set of business cards. They will simply say, Mike Leavitt, Giant of the City. How good is that? Thank you so much for this, to the Chamber and to all of you for being here. In all seriousness, this designation is far more than just a great title. It's a singular honor, being included on the same list as the true giants who have previously received this honor is among the most notable and the kindest things that have ever been expressed about me. Your kindness, of course, is, in fact, rightly shared with my wife and my partner in everything, Jackie. She is the giant in my life. She is the North Star of our family, and she is the person living at our address who is most deserving of admiration. Jackie, thank you. I wish to also recognize my children and my extended family. They provide me with unwavering support and love. A quick story, I think, captures at least a glimpse of their sacrifice. I had been governor less than a year. Often I sent the Highway Patrol security detail home when there were no more public duties. An errand needed to be run, and so I took Chase, our son, and we drove to the store in the family car. Chase was only about 8 years old at the time, and when we reached the store, he looked at me and said, "What about the police?" I said, "The police?" He said, "What if the police catch you not working?" I, I suddenly realized that he thought the highway patrol that traveled with his dad was to make sure he never quit working. I knew at that moment I needed to make an adjustment in my life, one I'm still working on, I might add. For a young family, living at the governor's mansion is truly an adventure. One day I called the family quarters at the mansion, and Weston, who was just a little over 3 at the time, answered the phone. The conversation went something like this. Hello? I said, can I talk to Mom? She's busy. What about Anne-Marie? She's busy too. What are they so busy doing? Looking for me. There were more times than once that we deployed the highway patrol looking through the mansion for our little 3-year-old. One summer morning, our teenage sons asked me if it would be okay to have a few friends over to the mansion on Friday night to see a boxing match on television. Now, we're a big boxing fan family, and there's a large room in the basement of the governor's mansion. On nights like that, it was not uncommon for us to have a very large group of their friends over to watch a sporting event of some sort. I would go down and enjoy it with them. So on this Friday night, just after dark, Jackie and I drove down South Temple Street, returning, as I remember, from an event at the University of Utah. Well, from about 9th East on, I could see a very strange glow on the side of the governor's mansion. And as I got closer, I could see that the entire east side of the mansion now was covered in white. The boys had used some PVC pipe, some rope, and some old bed sheets and some masking tape, and they had made this massive movie screen, and they had draped it over the east side of the mansion. It looked like a drive-in theater. So at that point, by the time I get to 7th East, I can see 30-foot-high boxers come on the side of the governor's mansion. So I got a little closer, and I could see kids. I mean, a lot of kids sitting on the lawn, noisily cheering for these fighters. And as I walked up the driveway, I said to the head of the mansion security, "What in the world is going on here?" "Gov," he said, "the boys said you were okay with this." Well, Jackie is not a fight fan. And she looked at me and said, "I think you need to handle this." She retired to the house. Only about 5 minutes later to come back and said our bedroom is now covered by backlit images of sweaty boxers. As I got to the backyard, I noticed that Mike and Taylor were busily working the crowd, and their 5-year-old brother Weston and their sister Anne-Marie were at the back gate charging admissions to cover the pay-per-view charge. Something the statute of limitations is now up on. I think we're okay. By the time the main event arrived, there were literally hundreds there. To their credit, they were noisy but well-behaved, and I thought, what's a guy to do at this point? So I found a place on the grass, and it just turned out to be a great fight night. To our son Taylor, as a teenager, living at the governor's mansion was just an endless opportunity for practical jokes. He had a very realistic rubber arm that he would occasionally use to startle someone. And I was okay with this until one particular night we were entertaining an arts group in the main parlor. There was a harpist playing very beautiful music as people mingled and had hors d'oeuvres. I was speaking to a rather prominent woman, and I could tell from her eyes that she was a bit startled and maybe a little disturbed. And I turned around to see what was happening, and inside the chimney of the fireplace, I saw dangling from this rubber arm. Now, there's not a lot you can say at a moment like that, but I just said, Do you have teenagers? The good news is she did. Well, it's a tribute to Jackie that each of our 5 children weathered this experience and are productive, responsible adults in whom we are enormously proud. Best of all, they're producing grandchildren, several of whom are here tonight. One of my little granddaughters, when she saw that 1992 campaign commercial, said, "Is that Saba?" That's what they call me. Being governor was, I also want to acknowledge my parents and my brothers. They're here tonight. Being governor is a wonderful experience. Being a member of a governor's family always isn't. They all endured moments of ironic unfairness and remained fully supportive of me. As many of you know, as mentioned, my father, his name is Dixie. He preceded me in politics. He represented southern Utah in the state legislature for many years. St. George is known as Utah's Dixie. Early pioneers thought that the area reminded them of the South. And so the word Dixie has been written in giant white letters across the Red Rock Mesa that's visible from the entire town of St. George. Tonight, I'm prepared to confess that I was 15 years old before I figured out that my dad didn't really write his name on that mountain. I'd like to just ask my family if they could stand and be recognized. Likewise, this audience is just peppered with colleagues and legislators and business leaders and supporters and friends that I have worked with side by side for many years. Thank you yet for another expression of your support tonight. I'll acknowledge for all of us that the remarkable privilege of public service is something that will have made all of us better. The best rewards are the sense of accomplishment and the friendships, and both last forever. And of course, I want to thank the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce, the sponsor of tonight's dinner, for choosing to honor me in this way. Lane Beatty, the president of the chamber, requires a special thank you from me. Over the years, as he indicated, Lane and I served shoulder to shoulder. For the entire time that I was governor, Lane was either the majority leader or the president of the Senate. And as you know, the relationship between governors and legislatures are designed to produce a little tension. And however, at the end, things have to get done, and there has to be leaders who have the confidence of their colleagues, and they have the ability to know when the deal has to be made. Many of the things that history will point to as shaping the state's future, while I was governor, Lane Beatty was a major force in making it happen. The Chamber of Commerce, under his leadership and the able support of a remarkable board, has become a very important influence in this state. The organization provides important leadership to the state, and it's a voice of reason. We have a great state with a proud tradition of prosperity and success. I've come to understand that leadership is a generational relay. Many of the most profound problems that we face are not ours to solve in finality, but rather to incrementally improve during our stewardship. The Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce is part of the foundation of this great state, and I want to thank them for honoring me, and I want to thank all of you for attending. Good night.